Discover the incredible moment a PTSD soldier and his K9 revealed an amazing newborn secret. Mike walked through the familiar streets of his small American town, his heart heavy with memories that clung to him like a shroud. The townspeople went about their lives, smiling and laughing, but he felt like a ghost, drifting amongst them. Behind him followed Max, his loyal K9 companion, who seemed to sense the fear and turmoil rattling within Mike's heart. With a longing gaze, he watched families share joy at the local park, children on swings, and laughter echoing in the air, a stark contrast to the chaos that haunted him. The local bakery became his refuge. As he pushed open the door, a wave of warmth washed over him, coupled with the sweet scent of cinnamon rolls and fresh bread. Karen, the owner, looked up with her bright, understanding eyes. She knew the battle he faced day in and day out. "Hey there, Mike. Fancy a coffee?" The kindness in her voice broke through his tough exterior. Words were hard to come by, so he nodded silently as she poured him a cup, steam swirling like his thoughts. One morning, while kneading dough, she offered him a job. "You know, I believe in this community's strength, and I think you could be part of it." The idea of connecting with others stirred something deep within him, a flicker of what he used to be. But the grip of his PTSD wrapped tighter around him, dragging him back into the darkness. The annual community fair arrived, and for the first time, there was a spark of excitement as he watched children run, their laughter filling the air. The vibrant colors of the booths pulsed with life, and Mike felt a pang in his heart. But as he stood at the edge, lost among the crowd, panic set in. Suddenly, a young boy slipped from the grip of his parents and ran straight toward Mike, seeking safety. Instinct kicked in. Mike knelt to catch the child, a protective warmth flooding through him. For that precious moment, he felt alive again. The townsfolk witnessed the transformation, a glimmer of the nurturing man buried beneath layers of pain. But it was fleeting. Just as quickly as it came, it faded, leaving him anxious and confused. However, doubts crept in, fed by whispers he imagined drifting through the crowd. "They're talking about you," a voice in his head taunted, pushing him back into a shell of isolation. Karen and some kind-hearted folks saw through his struggles and organized a meeting to discuss how they could support him, not out of pity, but of genuine care. "We're a community," they said, and for the first time in a while, Mike felt a shimmer of hope. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. But just when he thought clarity would surface, a familiar figure appeared, his estranged partner, standing before him, the weight of an unimaginable truth hanging in the air. "Mike, I'm pregnant." The word struck him like a lightning bolt, unleashing a storm inside his chest. A rush of dread mixed with unfamiliar excitement coursed through him. Could he be a father? A shiver of inadequacy gripped his heart, battling against the flutter of hope. As he stood frozen, Mike faced his worst fears and his greatest joy, the town watching, breath held tight. Would he embrace this unexpected journey toward redemption, or retreat back into the shadows? The moment lingered, heavy with the weight of possibilities, hanging in the air as the sun dipped low in the sky. Mike's mind raced as the weight of her words sank in. "Pregnant," he repeated silently, feeling as if the ground beneath him had shifted. All the laughter of the fair seemed to fade into a dull roar, and the bright colors of the stalls blurred into a chaotic swirl. Max pressed against his leg, sensing his turmoil and offering silent support. Mike needed to speak, to respond, but the right words evaded him, slipping through his fingers like grains of sand. His partner's eyes mirrored a mix of hope and uncertainty. I thought you should know," she stammered, taking a step closer. "I don't want you to feel alone in this." There was an earnestness in her voice, and for the first time in what felt like years, Mike saw the flicker of the bond they once shared. Yet fear gripped him harder than ever. What kind of father would he be, carrying this storm of anger and sadness along with him? As the crowd began to disperse, Mike stepped back, half turned away from her. A witness to his own collapse, he felt something break within. He wanted to reach out, to hold her, to be there for the child that was growing inside her. But every ounce of his being screamed that he wasn't enough, not for her, not for this new little life. The shadows of his past loomed large, whispering that he would only add pain to their family, not support. Max nudged him again, pulling him from the depths of his spiraling thoughts. With a deep breath, Mike faced his partner once more, pulling his emotions deep within. I don't know if I can, he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. Her face fell, and for the first time, Mike noticed tears welling in her eyes. Mike, you've got a chance to change things. This is a new beginning for both of us, she urged. We can do this together. The determination in her words struck something inside him, a flicker of warmth that clashed against his fears. Could hope for a future creep in where shadows lurked? As he glanced around at the cheerful families, children laughing and indulging in cotton candy, he could feel the warmth of the Baker's coffee shop calling him back, a soft haven where the world made sense. But everything felt so heavy now, being a part of a community felt so distant, like trying to grasp a cloud. Yet, the idea of reconnecting with that community, of bringing new life into it, overwhelmed him. A thought broke through. A little one. His little one. Just as the sun was disappearing behind the horizon, Mike remembered what Karen had said about belonging. Maybe this was the very step he needed. Okay, let's talk, he finally said, taking a small step forward. I want to understand. His voice was stronger now, filled with an emotion he hadn't allowed to surface in a long time. The look of relief and gratitude on her face lit a small fire inside him. Maybe he could harness this chance, this new life, to heal. And while he didn't believe he had all the answers, perhaps he could learn alongside them. As they stood together, uncertain but bonded by their shared hopes, Mike's heart beat a little lighter, the panic giving way to something softer, warmer. The evening air now felt charged with potential rather than fear. But what awaited him next? The daunting responsibility of fatherhood, or the hope of reclaiming a bond he thought lost forever? Tomorrow, he thought, I'll talk to Karen. But in that moment, even those small steps felt monumental. What if, just what if, he could truly embrace this journey? The night settled in, darkness wrapping around them like a blanket, but within it thrummed that unfamiliar rhythm of hope. Unbeknownst to Mike, the shadows still lingered, ready to test his resolve. Would he be able to rise against them? Or would the weight of the past break him before he could even begin to build his future? The morning sun pressed through the curtains, slicing the room into stripes of light and shadow. Mike rubbed his eyes, feeling the weight of yesterday still clinging to him. The conversation the reckoning he had with his partner echoed in his mind. Pregnant. Just a word, yet it held a universe of emotions. Max padded into the room, tail wagging, oblivious to the storm churning inside Mike. He couldn't help but smile as the dog nosed against his leg, needing that connection too. Getting up, Mike shuffled to the kitchen, the scent of brewing coffee mingling with the cool morning air. He poured himself a cup, grateful for the pause that coffee gave him. Out of habit, he plugged in his phone, scrolling through the notifications, messages from work, and finally one from Karen. Let's meet. We need to talk, it said, straightforward yet laced with something unspoken. His stomach twisted. Did he want to face the fears bubbling beneath? The fears Karen represented? She had been there for him, steady and nurturing, a lighthouse when his own efforts to reach the shore had faltered. But now, it felt daunting. He poured more coffee, trying to fill the silence with steam and heat as he wrestled with himself. Eventually, a decision formed. They needed to reconnect, not just for him, but for their little one to be a family, even if just in whispers and unspoken dreams. For now, after a shower, feeling a bit more human, Mike threw on a worn t-shirt and jeans, the uniform of someone still piecing himself together one day at a time. He grabbed Max's leash and headed outside, the crisp air hitting him like a splash of cold water. As they walked, he breathed in deeply, noticing how the world seemed a little brighter. Children splashed in puddles, laughter echoed from neighboring yards, and all around him, life bustled on. Maybe the community he had thought lost wasn't out of reach after all. At the local cafe, Karen was already waiting, her hands wrapped around a steaming mug, eyes scanning the room. When she spotted him, relief washed over her face, a stark contrast to the reality Mike had been fearing. The air was thick with unspoken words as he slid into the seat opposite her. "Hey," she said softly, giving him a gentle smile. "You look different." Mike chuckled, but it was nervously. "Yeah, about that." He paused, unsure how to unveil the vulnerability that gripped him. "I'm still trying to digest everything." Her eyes widened slightly, understanding resting deep within. "I know it's a lot. I can't imagine what you're going through, but for both of us this is an opportunity." Every fiber of his being wanted to resist, to shut down and retreat. Opportunity? What if our past is too heavy? What if I'm not enough? "Mike," she leaned forward, "it will be hard. But you have to understand, it won't just be you raising this child. We can share the weight together." His heart raced, thumping against his chest. Could he lean on someone again? The ringing of the cafe bell snapped him from his thoughts as a mother and child entered, joy radiating between them like a beacon. Something stirred in Michael, then a half-formed notion of what it might feel like to welcome laughter and cries of a newborn into his life. What if this is a journey that starts with both of us? Karen's gentle words pierced his musing that he took a moment. With every heartbeat, he felt walls inside him cracking, letting fresh possibility seep in. "Okay, let us talk about it then. I really want to. I need to know how we can make this work." Their conversation flowed, ideas blooming like wildflowers, thoughts filled with dreams of parenthood and healing. For the first time, he felt hope, not the desperate kind he was used to, but a quiet, steady acceptance of unfolding possibilities. Yet, lurking just beyond this small horizon of hope, shadows waited, whispering their doubts. Before he could fully grasp the changes looming ahead, his phone buzzed, shattering the moment. He glanced down at the screen, his heart sinking. The message was from an unknown number, but the words froze his breath. "I know about the baby and I'm coming." His heart raced as dread crept in. What lay ahead could change everything. The message hung in the air like a heavy fog, obscuring the warmth of the moment. Mike's stomach twisted, each beat of his heart echoing the panic in his chest. What he muttered under his breath. Karen's brow furrowed, instinctively reaching across the table. "Mike? What's wrong?" He held up the screen, the words staring back at him, taunting. "Someone knows about the baby, and they're coming." Her eyes widened, concern flickering across her face. "Who is it? What do they want?" "I don't know. The number's not saved." His mind raced, thoughts darting in every direction, chasing shadows from the past. Had he done something wrong? Had he left a door open? "I need to get out of here," he said, the urgency propelling him from the seat. "But Mike, we should talk." "No. I can't. Not now." He grabbed his jacket, the familiar weight feeling like an anchor as he pulled it on. His breath came in short, quick bursts as he glanced around the cafe, suddenly feeling exposed. Just moments ago, they were mapping out dreams of parenthood, and now the floor felt unsteady beneath him, as if the ground might swallow him whole. "Let us go for a walk, Mike," Karen urged, rising to meet him. "The fresh air might help." Max sensed the tension, whining softly at Mike's feet. He kneeled and ruffled the dog's fur, grateful for the simple comfort it provided. "Okay, let us step outside." They exited the cafe, the cool breeze hitting him like a splash of cold water once more. It would wash away the chaos churning in his mind, he hoped. But instead, it only intensified the pounding in his chest, anxiety clawing at the edges of his thoughts. "Where do you want to go?" Karen asked, visibly trying to bridge the gap forming between them. "Anywhere that feels safe," he said, glancing down at Max, who seemed eager for a real adventure. "I need to think." The park was just a few blocks away, a place Mike had once frequented as a kid. Maybe it could spark some sense of normalcy. They walked in silence, but the tension coiled tighter with each step. Every rustle in the trees made him jumpy. Every laugh from nearby children added to his unease. As they reached the park, the sun shone down, playing peekaboo with the clouds. Mike watched the kids chase each other, their laughter breaking through the haze surrounding him. It was a reminder of the simpler things in life, the things he wanted to protect. "Mike," Karen said softly, stepping closer, "let us talk about this message. Whoever it is, just magically vanish." He felt the urge to push her away, but he swallowed it down. "What if it's someone from my past? Someone I thought I'd escaped?" "Then we face it together," she said firmly, "together." The word echoed in his mind, heavy and burdensome, yet with a flicker of hope. "What if I can't?" Karen placed a hand on his arm. "You can. I believe in you. And I'm here. You don't have to carry this alone. Not anymore." Just then, a vibrant yell rang out, and 4 kids darted past them, one of them almost bumping into Mike. Their carefree spirit momentarily lifted the weight on his shoulders. But down deep, the anxiety masked the joy. The feeling that someone, whoever they were, would soon crash into this moment left Mike feeling exposed. Behind them, the wind whispered, but its words only made him feel uneasy. What if they hurt you? What if they come for the baby?" His voice cracked, showcasing the raw fear he tried so hard to contain. Karen's stare grounded him. "Then we fight back. But first, let us figure out who it is and why they're coming. Don't let fear chase you into the dark again." For a brief moment, amidst the fear, Mike felt something inside him stir. Maybe hope was stronger than he realized, but as they turned to leave, Mike's phone buzzed again, a second message from that unknown number, and dread filled his chest once more. What if this was just the beginning? He glanced at the screen, his breath hitching in anticipation. The words read, "You'll wish you hadn't gone looking for me." Mike's heart raced as he reread the message, each word carving deep into his thoughts. He could barely focus on the laughter around him, too consumed by the specter of his past looming closer. What kind of heartbreak did this stranger hold? "Mike?" Karen's voice pulled him from the swirling fog of his mind. She stood beside him, her eyes filled with worry. What did it say? He hesitated. Could he let her into this deep, dark part of himself? Would it only burden her more? But then he thought of the baby, the small life that would depend on them both. Taking a breath, he showed her the screen. As her eyes widened, he felt a rush of vulnerability. "I think it's from someone who knows about things I've tried to forget. Things I've buried before you and I started this life together." "You can't keep hiding from your past," she said, determination edging her tone. "We need to confront this. Together." The warmth of her words was a comforting balm, but fear still gripped him. What if it's not just my past? What if it wraps around us, pulls you in? Karen took a step closer. Her presence was steadying, like a lighthouse guiding a lost ship. "Mike, you're not alone in this. We're a team. Whatever comes our way, we'll face it head-on." Max, sensing the tension, lay down at their feet, resting his head on Mike's shoe as if saying, "I've got your back." It made Mike smile just a little, but the smile didn't entirely reach his eyes. He felt the soil beneath him shift, bitter memories ready to spring forth at any moment. "Let us go home," he finally replied, voice firming with decision. "I need to figure out who this is and what they really want. I want to let my past dictate my future, our future." As they turned to leave the park, the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows that felt like ghosts trailing behind them. Once home, Mike dug through old boxes, a task he had avoided for years. Dust motes danced in the evening light as he unearthed items long forgotten: baseball trophies, old letters, faded photographs. Each memento whispered a different memory, and with every piece, a wave of anxiety rolled over him. "Are you sure you want to do this?" Karen asked gently from the doorway, her voice laced with concern. Mike straightened, heart racing as he met her gaze. "I have to. It's the only way to protect what we have." Flipping through a stack of letters, he found one that made his blood run cold. The handwriting was familiar but twisted with anger and pain. The sender was no stranger. The implications crashed into him like a tidal wave. "Karen, it's him," he said, the words escaping his lips as a whisper. "He*s back." Her eyes widened, filling with worry, yet there was a flicker of resolve behind them. "We can handle this. Let us take it one step at a time." But even as she spoke, Mike could feel the pit in his stomach deepen. The past wasn't just creeping up, it was pounding down the door, demanding entry. "I can't let him ruin this." "Not now," he said, panic escalating, heart pounding against his ribs. Karen stepped forward, placing her hands on his shoulders, grounding him. "You don't have to face him alone. We'll figure this out. But first, we need to understand what he wants." The phone buzzed again, and they exchanged a glance that spoke volumes. Could they confront the darkness together, or would it tear them apart? Mike picked up the phone cautiously. One more message. He held his breath, ready for whatever came next. His thumb hovered above the screen before he tapped it open. The words flooded in, and his heart sank. "You've messed with my life, now it's your turn to feel the pain." As the world around him spiraled, he turned to Karen, eyes full of desperation. "What if I can't protect you?" "Then we fight back," she replied fiercely, her spirit unwavering. Together. The weight of their reality pressed down on Mike, and with it, the question of their very survival loomed larger than ever. What would he have to sacrifice to shield their dreams from the shadows of the past? Mike sat there, the phone still buzzing in his hand, a heavy weight resting on his chest. Karen's grip on his shoulders felt like a lifeline, but the darkness creeping into their lives felt insurmountable. He blinked hard, trying to clear the haze that clouded his thoughts. "We have to respond," he finally said, voice trembling but resolute. Karen's brows knitted together. "Are you sure that's wise? What if he escalates?" "He already has," Mike replied sharply, running a hand through his hair in frustration. "I've let him linger in the shadows long enough. I can't keep my family safe while I allow him to take up space in my head." "Okay," she conceded, softening her tone. "Let us think this through. What do you want to say?" Taking a deep breath, Mike formulated his words, each phrase weighing heavier than the last. "You have no idea what you're doing," he typed back, heart racing as he hit send. "I'm not afraid of you. My family is my priority. Let us pray that's enough to get him to back off," Karen said, her eyes scanning the room, as if she could summon protection from the walls themselves. Mike paced the room, nerves electrified by fear. What if this was a mistake? Before he could spiral too far, he gripped the edge of the kitchen counter. "I just can't believe he's here. I thought I'd buried him in the past." "You buried him, but you didn't finish him off. That's why he's back." Karen wandered to the window, looking out into the fading light. "It's time to close that chapter, Mike. For good." His heart sank deeper at her words. Were they ready to confront this specter from his past? He felt like a kid preparing for a test he knew he'd fail. "But what if he comes after you? After the baby?" Karen turned to him, eyes blazing with determination. "Then we'll deal with it together. We'll build our lives on a solid foundation. We have each other, and we have Max." The loyal K9 lay nearby, sensing the tension. Mike knelt beside the dog, feeling the warmth radiating from him. He scratched behind Max's ears, seeking comfort, redirecting his fears for a moment. I just don't want to put you in danger. That's not your choice to make. You have to let me in. Karen's voice was firm, unwavering as she approached him. I love you, Mike. Whatever happened before, it doesn't change that. We face everything as a team. Promise me you'll stay safe. He searched her eyes, a plea riding on his words. And promise me you'll be honest about what's going on in your head, she replied, softening but still fierce. Don't carry this alone. They both jumped when Mike's phone buzzed again, and the atmosphere shifted. It was a reply, but this one felt different, like a punch to the gut. Let's make this personal. I want to meet. Alone. Fear wormed its way back into Mike's gut. Alone? That word echoed ominously. No. I'm not meeting him without backup. Karen stepped closer, her resolve unfaltering. Then let's set a trap. We'll take control of this. Yeah, but what if he has something up his sleeve? Panic threatened to overwhelm him again, but Karen's determined presence anchored him. We're smarter than him, she said, a spark in her voice. Let's gather intel, find a way to turn the tables. Mike nodded, feeling a mix of adrenaline and confusion. But a flicker of hope ignited too. They were planning this together. Teamwork would be their weapon. He pulled Karen closer, inhaling her familiar scent. Then, like a dam breaking loose, realization dawned on him. This was about more than just confronting the stranger. This was about confronting himself. After this, he whispered, I want to be free of anything that weighs on this family. Desperation fueled their next steps. As they put their plan into action, Mike's mind raced with possibilities. Would they emerge victorious from this confrontation? Or would wounds reopen, threatening to consume them both? Standing resolute, he took Karen's hand, squeezing it tightly. They were stepping into a storm, unarmed but determined. Together, they would face the darkness. But as night fell, Mike couldn't shake the feeling that the hardest battle lay ahead. Would they truly find peace, or would it all slip through their fingers? The air was thick with tension, each breath feeling heavier than the last. Mike and Karen sat at the table, eyes glued to the dim glow of the computer screen. They were mapping out every detail of the plan, treating it like a military operation. Mike's heart raced as he typed his thoughts. This wasn't just a situation to resolve. It was a reckoning. What's our first move? Karen asked, flipping her hair nervously but with an impatience that suggested she wanted to act. Research, Mike replied, not wanting to lose momentum. I want to know everything about him. Where he hangs out, who he's with, something we can use against him. Karen nodded, but uncertainty flickered in her eyes. And when we have that, then what? Confront? He could see where her mind was going. Not just confront. We draw him in. Make him think he has the upper hand. Max, sensing the rising stakes, moved restlessly at their feet. Mike reached down and scratched him just behind the ears, seeking solace in the dog's simple, loyal presence. You're our wild card, buddy, he murmured, the words meant to comfort both Max and himself. Karen began typing into the search bar, her fingers flying over the keys. I just can't shake this pit in my stomach, she admitted, pausing to look at Mike. What if he doesn't play by the rules? What if it gets dangerous? Mike's heart twisted at the thought. He's unpredictable. I can't let him drag us into his chaos. The hours passed, filled with frantic searches and whispered conversations, but in the back of Mike's mind, it was all still too surreal. They were on the brink of something critical, yet he felt the weight of yesterday's shadows lurking, ready to pounce as soon as they lost focus. Just as they were compiling their research, Mike's phone buzzed again. Both their heads shot up, dread pooled in the pit of his stomach. He clicked on the message, his hands shaking. Time's running out. I'll be waiting. You know where. Mike swore under his breath. This is it. He's making us dance to his tune. Karen's eyes were wide, yet she seemed grounded. It depends on how we move. Do we surprise him, or wait? Let us surprise him. We'll bait him with misinformation. Make him think he has found a crack in our armor. She smiled, a blend of excitement and determination illuminating her features. I like it. We just need the right bait. Mike nodded, feeling that fire spark inside. They weren't just answering a call, they were crafting their own narrative, one that would change everything. They spent the next few hours concocting a story of Mike being vulnerable, of wanting to face the past and reconcile the wrongs. It was all a ruse to lure the shadow from the darkness. Each detail felt both liberating and terrifying. As midnight approached, exhaustion threatened to pull them under. What if it isn't enough? Karen asked softly, stifling a yawn. We'll have each other. That's enough. No matter what happens next. With that promise hanging in the air, they prepared for a new day, a new battle. Uncertainty mingled with hope, tightening the bond between them, threading courage through their fears. Just as they were ready to turn off the light, a thought struck Mike. What if this isn't just about him coming at us? What if he's using someone we didn't expect? Someone we love? His heart raced at the implication, a realization that twisted his gut like a vice. What if Max is used against us? Karen's eyes darkened, she understood the weight of his words. Then we fight harder. We can't let anyone take what's ours. The resolve cemented between them felt rock solid, but deep down, Mike knew that the deception they were operating under could unravel at any moment. As they drifted to sleep, each lost in thoughts that circled like hawks, Mike couldn't shake the feeling that the darkness was much closer than they realized. Tomorrow would be the tipping point, and he was left wondering who would truly emerge whole from the other side. And as the night pressed on, a new thought nagged at him: would the shadows betray their plans, or would they reveal a secret that changed everything? Dawn broke through the blinds, casting thin stripes of light across the room. Mike woke before the alarm, 1,000 thoughts racing in his mind. He rubbed his eyes, trying to shake off the clammy feeling burrowing in his chest. Yesterday's echoes loomed large, and the sense of impending confrontation hung over him like storm clouds. Karen, he called softly, not wanting to startle her awake but needing to share his unease. She stirred, blinking at him through the remnants of sleep. Hey, she murmured, pushing her hair back and shaking off the heaviness. What is going on? Mike hesitated but then shared his fear. What if this guy goes after Max? If he thinks we're getting too close, he might retaliate. Her brow furrowed, worry pooling in her eyes. You think he would do that? He is capable of anything, Mike replied. We have to be prepared for it. Okay, then. Karen nodded, her resolve hardening. Let us get moving. We can't let him see our fear. They powered through breakfast, every moment filled with a charged silence, each bite a reminder of the weight they carried. The atmosphere in the air felt electric, raw with adrenaline and fear, but also with hope. After breakfast, they gathered their gear, checking that nothing was forgotten. Max wagged his tail, sensing the tension but still happy to be with them. As they stepped outside, Mike took a deep breath, welcoming the cool morning air to clear his mind. It invigorated him but also reminded him of the lurking shadows ahead. They drove in silence, the city waking up around them, unaware of the storm ready to break in their lives. They approached the designated place, an abandoned park area, where they knew their adversary would be watching. Mike's grip on the steering wheel tightened as he considered the stakes. I'll start the conversation, he decided. Just remember what we talked about. Stick to the plan. Karen nodded, but the tension in her jaw spoke of her anxiety. And if things go sideways? Then we improvise. The words felt hollow, but it was all they had to rely on. They parked, settling into a protective silence, each focused on their roles. As they stepped into the park, Mike felt the familiar rush of an unseen observer. His instincts heightened. His heart hammered against his ribcage. Karen moved close, whispering, "Can you feel him watching?" "Yeah," he replied, scanning the trees for any signs of life. The rustling leaves felt ominous. They opened their phones, glancing over the fabricated story they had crafted, reminders of vulnerability designed to lure their opponent into a false sense of security. Suddenly, a figure stepped out from behind a nearby tree. He was wearing a dark hoodie, his face hidden in shadows, but Mike felt a visceral recognition they were one step away from danger. "Glad you could make it," the figure called out mockingly, stepping closer, his eyes glinting under the brim of the hood. "Let us get this over with," Mike responded, adrenaline pumping through him like fire. He could feel Karen's nervous energy beside him, ready to pounce at any moment. "I've been waiting for this," the figure replied, adjusting his posture as if preparing for a big reveal. "But you should be careful. You never know when a loved one might get hurt." A chill ran down Mike's spine, his imagination racing. Had the figure really brought the fight to them? "Leave them out of this," Mike demanded, but the words felt weak against the weight of the implications. "Too late for that, Mike," came the retort, laced with wicked anticipation. Karen's grip on his arm tightened. "We need to go," she whispered urgently, but Mike felt rooted, torn between fear and the need to protect everything he held dear, and in that moment of uncertainty, one thought echoed louder than the rest: would their plans hold true, or would the shadows consume them whole? They turned to run, but Mike realized they weren't alone anymore. The darkness had eyes, and it was now time to face the truth, whatever that might mean. Mike's breath caught in his throat as he stumbled back, adrenaline coursing through him. The world around him faded into a blur, only the hooded figure remained sharp and menacing. The sounds of rustling leaves and distant laughter felt like they belonged to another world. "Run!" he shouted, urging Karen forward, but his feet felt glued to the ground. Max barked, sensing the tension, his loyalty evident as he pressed closer to Mike and Karen. The figure stepped forward, a slow, deliberate movement that felt like a predator sizing up its prey. "You think you can just walk away? I want you to know that this is just the beginning." "No!" Karen yelled, breaking the spell of dread. "We won't let you hurt anyone." The heat of her words sparked a fire within Mike. They couldn't crumble now. Not after everything they fought for. They turned to sprint when suddenly, a quick shuffle came from the underbrush. A second figure emerged, smaller, more agile. The blood drained from Mike's face. Another one? But as it moved into the light, he realized it wasn't just any adversary. It was a young girl, no older than 10, her wide eyes filled with fear and confusion. "Help me," she whimpered, glancing nervously at the hooded man. "What are you doing here?" the hooded man demanded, his voice low and venomous. The threat in his tone sent a shiver down Mike's spine. "Run!" Mike shouted, the instinct to protect kicking in full force. The girl hesitated, caught between fear and hope, but then she bolted toward Mike, seeking refuge beside him. "I didn't want to be with him." The world narrowed around them. Mike felt a sharp surge of responsibility. This wasn't just about him and Karen anymore, they had become protectors of a frightened child. "Get out of here," he urged Karen. "Take her to safety." "No. I'm not leaving you." Karen's voice trembled, solidarity sparking in her eyes. "Please." the girl cried, her small hand gripping Mike's jeans. "Listen to me," Mike said, forcing himself to sound calm. "We need to get her to safety. We can't let him win." The hooded figure stepped closer again, his demeanor shifting. "What makes you think you can protect her?" He laughed, a low, chilling sound that echoed through the empty park. "You can't even protect yourselves." Before Mike could respond, the movement of shadows shifted behind the figure, signaling more danger. "Mike!" Karen shouted, grabbing his arm. "We have to go now." In that moment, something unbreakable ignited inside Mike. He glanced at Karen and the girl, his family against the dark tide. He thought of Max, who stood tall and fierce, ready to defend. They'd come together, they'd face whatever was thrown at them. As urgency surged, Mike yelled, "Now!" They turned and ran, hearts pounding, the girl's small hand entwined with Karen's as they sprinted toward the nearest exit. The trees blurred into a haze of green and brown, the park morphing into a labyrinth of shadows behind them, but just as they neared the edge of the park, a hand shot out from the darkness, grabbing Mike's arm. He spun, ready to fight, but found himself staring into the piercing eyes of the hooded figure. "Your little adventure has just begun," he sneered, stepping back into the shadows, vanishing like smoke. Breathless, Mike and the others burst through the line of trees, the bright daylight a stark contrast to the darkness that just lurked behind them. "What was that about?" Karen gasped, scanning their surroundings for threats. I don't know. But we need to regroup," Mike said, sweat dripping down his brow. The fear hadn't vanished, it was only dimmed for now. He turned to the girl. "What's your name?" "Emily," she whispered, her small voice trembling. "We've got to keep you safe, Emily," Mike said, feeling a strange connection form already. A piercing bark from Max broke the tension, shaking Mike from his thoughts. They needed a plan fast. And as they exchanged anxious glances, Mike sensed that this was more than just a battle against an enemy, it was a revelation that would change everything. The fight was far from over, and the biggest challenge was yet to come. The shadows were only just beginning to reveal their deepest secrets. The next few days felt like a whirlwind. They were no longer just Mike and Karen, they were a family, guardians of little Emily, navigating the chaos unfolding around them. Each morning began with the same weighty silence, a constant reminder of the shadows that loomed just beyond their front door. Karen transformed their home into a safe haven, a fortress where laughter could still echo, despite the threat lurking in the background. They painted Emily's room shades of soft pastels, filling it with stuffed animals and stories of heroes, which seemed to draw smiles from her even in moments of fear. The warmth of that environment contrasted sharply with Mike's anxious heart, heavy with worry. On the outside, Mike wore a brave face, but inside, a turbulent storm raged. Memories of his past haunted him, but with Emily and Karen by his side, he fought harder than ever to keep those memories from consuming him. They had become his strength. Each spark of joy he saw in Emily's eyes reminded him what they were fighting for, a future freed from the shackles of fear. One evening, as they huddled on the couch, Mike pulled out his phone. He had received another message from the hooded figure, a calculated threat. "I'm closer than you think. The clock is ticking." Just reading it twisted his stomach into knots. His heart raced. "He's not going to stop, is he?" Karen shook her head, determination glimmering in her eyes. "No. He wants to draw you out." "We need to outsmart him," Mike replied, urgency bleeding into every word. They had rehearsed strategies, each plan designed to protect Emily and expose their adversary. But the fear clawed at him, the worry that behind every corner lay danger. "It's time to turn the tables," Karen insisted. She suggested they reach out to a few trusted friends in town, people who had supported him like Karen, people with a sense of loyalty strong enough to stand firm against the storm. Together, they could build a network of safety. Word spread quickly, and folks who were once acquaintances transformed into a formidable support team. Mike felt their strength bolstering him when they met the next day, faces ready for battle, willing to shield each other with love and dedication. Standing before them, he felt something awaken inside, a renewed sense of hope. "Together," he declared, his voice steady and unwavering, "we will confront this darkness." The community rallied around him, fueling the bonds forged in shared humanity. Each person brought unique gifts, strategic thinkers, doers, supporters, all merging to form a collective defense against the encroaching shadows. As they devised their plan, Mike felt an overwhelming sense of unity. Emily played in the corner, laughter spilling from her like sunlight breaking through clouds. They were acting not just for themselves but for her future. One evening, as twilight fell over the town, whispers of a meeting began to circulate, an opportunity to confront the hooded figure once and for all. They had lured him to the edge of town, a familiar abandoned warehouse near the river. Mike felt his heart race. The air was thick with tension and anticipation, but there was something else too: solidarity. The night of the confrontation felt electric. They set up a safe perimeter, lights dancing against the dark backdrop of the building. Mike and Karen took their positions, standing shoulder to shoulder, resolved to face whatever came next. As the minutes dragged on, silence hung heavy in the air until finally, a shadow emerged. The hooded figure stepped into the light, a twisted grin spreading across his face. "Good of you to finally show up," he sneered, flicking his gaze over the group. "What do you want?" Mike's voice echoed in the stillness, firm and unwavering. "Let us make this interesting," the figure said. "It's time to play a little game." But before he could continue, the police's red and blue lights sliced through the darkness, illuminating the scene. "You're surrounded." A voice boomed, and hope flared in Mike's chest. It was one of the community members who had rallied support. The hooded figure's smirk faltered, confusion taking its place. "What?" This was supposed to be. Mike seized the moment. "Your game is over. You're outnumbered." As the police moved in, Mike felt the weight of countless fears start to melt away. The confrontation, the darkness, all those internal battles, it culminated in this moment of triumph. Breathless, he turned to Karen, and their eyes locked, bound by love, strength, and the life they were building together. Emily rushed into his arms, safely held within the warmth of his embrace. They had faced the dark together and emerged whole, unyielding in their love. As the sun rose the next morning, painting the sky a hopeful hue, Mike understood that every shadow he once carried could be transformed into a lesson of growth and resilience. No longer would he be a prisoner of his past. Now, they had a future, a beacon guiding them through anything that might come next. And in that moment, he knew, he would fight to protect it with everything he had. Don't let this moment pass you by. You need to subscribe now to catch the inspiring stories that await you. Leave a like right now to fuel our reach and help us grow. Comment below to share your feelings and takeaways from this powerful ending. Share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to join our family in spreading hope and resilience.